Following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you Week number 2 is here for the Area Truck Series, and we keep our Florida trip alive with a trip to Miami. After an absolutely crazy finish to week 1 at Daytona, we head to a 1.5-mile multi-groove wore-out surface to see what these rough trucks can do here in Miami. What will happen? Let's find out together here in the Freecash 180. That is what we have on the docket for us today here on PTR TV. Race number 2 of the Area Truck Series, the Freecash 180, right here at Homestead, Miami Speedway. Gonna be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth. I got my pal Andre, or as we call him, Dirt Grambush, here to help out with the commentary. So last week at Daytona was absolutely crazy at the way that race went and finished. I don't think we're going to replicate that here today, but pack racing is what I expect Dirt here at Miami.
I don't think we're going to replicate it, but I do think we're going to see some action all of its own sort here at Homestead. Usually, you come to this 1.5, you kind of expect a pretty cookie-cutter race, but iRacing has gone through so many changes. We were just talking at the top of the broadcast before it went live about the aero changes, the tires, the way that the cars are just generally harder to navigate. You get in dirty air, the thing wants to spin out. You stay out too long on old tires, the thing wants to spin out. So these guys are facing circumstances that they've not faced in the sim for quite a while. We know that the Cup race was pretty eventful, and I don't think this race is going to be any different. So they are out there working on their way to qualify. That is last week's Daytona winner, Jeremy Miller, who, just to go with the chaos of Daytona, it follows us to Homestead, Corey, because this guy right here doesn't really matter where he qualifies, because he is the recipient of a drive-through as a result of his actions last week. So as soon as the race goes green, he'll have to serve that. He'll be towards the back. Also got some EOLs from last week. We got Corey Bodie, Dawson Miller, Josh Paris, Nicholas Runner, Jacob Bell, and Eli Green, all going to the back of the field. So yeah, when the race has not even started, Corey, and we're already kind of in the thick of it.
Yeah, when the boss man gets a penalty, it was a rough week at Daytona, but that's just what you expect there at that racetrack. Jeremy Miller does get the pole thus far. There's still 2 minutes left and a bunch of drivers who have the opportunity to dethrone him from that. And what they can't take away is that number 1 starting spot, well, rather that number 1 pit box. So at the very least, he will be able to achieve that here. But just watching some of these drivers come through for their qualifying laps, a 34 flat. We're about a second slower than we were last night in the next gen car. Let's see what Mr. Slaughter can do. A 34 flat. That should be right up there, not the pole, but P2, which unfortunately he'd probably rather be third, because that would actually be the pole the way that things do work out.
Yeah, that might be better for him if he did wind up there, but never really get it within the thousands, so you got to kind of take what you can get. Brad Slaughter currently at P2, Jeremy B. Brown at P3, Garrett Grant, Travis Beckner, as we follow along with him, getting his lap time in. Time to beat is at 34.0, and his predicted lap right now by 33.8, so a little bit off the pace, but goes to show, Corey, we're going to be getting into some traffic tonight. These trucks are hard to drive. I think there will be a little bit of separation. You mentioned the pack racing, the drafting, and there'll be a little bit of that, but I just think with how difficult these trucks are, it's going to be tough to have everybody on the same pace. They kind of naturally spread out a little bit through the lap times. Jacob Bell getting his lap time in, and overall, it's hard to make a prediction, with the way that everything is kind of playing out going into this week, kind of chaotic circumstances. But we did hear some drivers that were pretty confident coming into this week. So, going to be winners, going to be losers.
Absolutely. Many drivers will consider this to be the real start of the season, so to speak, as obviously drafting is, it'll happen in the short term as the tires wear, but it won't be the absolute name of the game here. Jacob going to be starting down there in 17th. Now, we do have 38 drivers here today. I do believe that might be 2 going home, if I remember correctly. I'm sure we'll get corrected very quickly in the chat here, so by our admin. But Josh Parrish, the only one not to turn a time, but he's actually on that EOL list anyways. That car just kind of running some bonus laps right now. Let's take a look at the weather conditions here. Last night we started at a 130-degree track temp, and we aren't far behind that. They're at 120, and we're in the heat of the day. Florida weather racing out of March 31st, so that temperature probably will peak. If anything, maybe in about an hour or so, only get slicker.
Yeah, and it's just compounding issues. Again, the new aero model, very difficult for these guys to deal with. The new tire model, very difficult. And then you throw them on a track that's basically going to be an ice rink. At 120 degrees, they're going to be in a 4-tire slide pretty much throughout the entirety of the corner. Kind of OG iRacing style back when the cars used to slide around a little bit more. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm not so sure it's going to be fun behind the wheel because as a driver, I was always a little bit better with a car that was pushing tight. Dealing with an overly loose car was sometimes my Achilles heel. So me personally, I'd be dreading this, but these guys got a lot of talent, high strength of field. So, there's a reason they're down there and I'm up here.
Absolutely. We did see a lot of multi-groove racing last night, which of course is what you love to see. We saw drivers ripping the fence about, doing that. I don't even want to call it a Larson line because he doesn't really run anymore, but maybe the Tyler Reddick line right up against the fence. Saw a lot of that. And of course, we saw some guys doing the old Harvick there, ripping right on the that white line of sorts. So we shouldn't be going too far here into the warm-up. I don't think there's anything that needs to get taken care of. We'll wait for that bump, but it gives us the opportunity to thank you for tuning in here to PTR TV. Like, share, comment, subscribe here. We thank Lucky Ducks, doing as you always do there in our super chat. And if you're watching on Twitch, consider subscribing there on the Area iRacing Twitch. $5 a month gets you custom emotes, double points, and you can redeem those for some free merch. And that merch line at shopareairacing.com does look pretty slick. As I guess we're going to run a little bit into this warm-up. And one of the things that I never understood with the warm-up, Dirt, they don't actually assign the qualifying stalls in warm-up, which would actually give the drivers a good practice to know where their stall is. So even though you're in the warm-up, you still kind of have to have that mental note of, all right, I qualified here, so let me prepare for my pit stall.
You definitely do. And I think preparing for green flag stops in general is something that is easy to neglect on iRacing. You're always thinking about going fast, about getting better lap times. And, sometimes you expect that in a race like this, there might be a lot of yellows. You're not going to have to make that pit stop. But you might have to. We might go green, and that's going to be even tougher getting down to pit road speed and then getting a little bit frazzled, trying to figure out where your stall is, knowing exactly where to start slowing down. It's an element they're going to have to deal with for sure.
Absolutely. Of course, last year's winner of this race, Season 7, Brian Mercurio. I'm taking a look to see. I don't think he's running trucks this year, if memory serves. I know. I think he's running fully in the Florida State Builders Pro Series on Thursdays, but he led 56 laps last year. Last caution last year, and this is all courtesy of Hunter Sleppy, our area Larry Mack. Last caution was 51 to go. In fact, we go back to Season 2 in the Truck Series. 105 to go. Season 4, James Scioli won this race. 120 to go. So just based on the trends, and I know you have always been great at this yourself, the trend says this should be a green flag race. But again, as we've talked about, a lot has changed to where we don't know if that old notebook is applicable.
Yeah, that's the thing about a live service like this. It is always changing. And, you can look at the trends of what was going on just a year ago, and they might be completely irrelevant to what we got tonight, or could be similar if the drivers adapt. Maybe we're not giving them enough credit for adapting to the new style and everything, but Either way, warm-up coming to a close. They're going to be getting down to that grid. And we'll find out mostly, Corey, where everybody's going to be starting. Again, a lot of these drivers will be going to the end of the line. The graphic will not be 100% accurate, but you almost know where your favorite driver is going to be rolling off.
Absolutely. By Central Mobile Homes, our starting lineup, small or looking for a small or large home, new shed, triple crown trailer. Look no further than Central Mobile Homes. They've been proudly serving Florida customers for what should now be 30 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and triple crown trailers available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomeinc.com for more information. We'll give you some more information. We'll do it right now. We're going to head down trackside for that PTR TV Central Mobile Homes starting lineup. Jeremy Miller on the official pole, even though he won't finish there with that 34 flat. Brad Slaughter to his outside. Jacob Harbert's going to be in third, and Cole Cabry in P4. Jeremy Brown in fifth. You recognize that name here on PTR TV. Garrett Grant in sixth. Seventh finds Alex Chilcutt. Chase Cabry. He almost won last week until Daytona happened, but he's going to roll off in eighth. Ninth is Ryan Swan and Zach Carr in the 10th position.
Looking outside of the top 10, it is going to be Steven Oberstadt in P11. Travis Beckner going to be P12. 13th goes to Cody Dempster, and Dante Curtis going to be P14. Looking back to 15 and 16, it's going to be Bryce Senesac and Trevor Edwards. And then P17 will belong squarely to Jacob Bell. Danny Weir going to be P18 to his outside. Running in the top 20, Eli Green in that 96 truck is going to be alongside Grant Brown.
All right, Derek caught me reading some back-end admin chat here. We got Corey Bodie. He's going to be one of those EOL recipients. He's in 21st for now with Brian Knoll, a New Hampshire native. He's essentially my neighbor up there in New England. Chris Seidenfeld in 23rd. Aaron Johnson in 24th. Zach Nerney here, again, another PTR TV faithful, 25th. Chase Swank in 26th. Then we have Mr. Dawson Miller, Jeffrey Wilson, Clay City, Indiana. Oh, Chase Elliotteville with Nicholas Renner. He's going to the back, but the bell did ring. And then Forrest Smith in 30th.
P31 goes to Hayden Swank, and that 70 truck. Kyle Taub is going to be P32. Ben Pierce, 33rd. Carson Burrows takes home 34th in the qualifying effort. P35, Joseph Swan alongside Garrett Conrad in 36th. And shotgun on the field, final row, going to be Logan Hartman and Josh Parrish, I do believe. Yes, there's more behind him, but I believe that is it. Now, Corey, we are going to go ahead and pace for 2 laps just to get the EOL sorted out. So I'll use this time to ask you, who is your pick for tonight? Who do you think's got something?
Well, I mean, it all really depends. My pick is right there parked going EOL right now, but just knowing what else we do know in a very short time frame. Of course, I have a little bit of knowledge with these drivers' skill in other races. I have raced Jeremy Brown quite a bit. I know how quick he is. I know how quick Cole Cabry is there. The brother Chase there, again, everyone recognizes that name. He is pretty quick, but if right now, put my money writing myself in that DraftKings lottery, I'm going with the 46.
Not a bad pick at all. And you mentioned the 30, he would be your go-to pick were it not for all these penalties and everything going on there. It's going to be a long race. He could still get up there. The problem he might have is the friends he made along the way at Daytona as he has to navigate these guys this week. But there are all of the penalties. Again, just a refresher.
Just to add dirt, he has a drive-through, so he actually is going to be struggling just to remain on the lead lap after this.
He will. And so he'll need a lucky dog, he'll need a yellow, but I wouldn't count him out. Either way, my pick is going to be the number 80. Sorry to the number 30, but the driver currently sitting on pole in that beautiful red, white, and blue number 80 truck. He had a lot of speed at Daytona. He seemed to have a lot of speed in qualifying here. I'm going to pick him, if for no other reason than that paint scheme.
609 Motorsports drivers are typically ones to watch. Jacob Harbert, you have Zachary Carr, Dante Curtis, and Alex McCullum are not running here today, but certainly those 609 cars. Matt Livery, someone who is quite often in our YouTube chat here, so not a bribed pick at all. And all joking aside there. But as we come through 3 and 4, again, the Big Brother Series, the Cup Series last night, they had quite the issues getting on the loud pedal here. Very slick surface here at Homestead. Let's see what these trucks can do here in the Freecash 180. Coming through turn number 4, the pace car is in. Let's go racing Miami style. Green, green, green.
And it seems to be a pretty clean start.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, never mind. I take that back immediately.
Josh Parrish.
Jeremy Brown was not involved in that. I don't know if he was.
And we are
not,
green still. I mean, last night, Barney was very trigger happy. Oh, big stack up with the 75 of Nicholas Renner. And perhaps further ahead of him, but from bad to worse for Parrish, back to live pictures. And we have 3 wide here on the front straightaway. For a brief moment, Harberts is hanging on to the lead. Cole Cabry in that black car, in a black truck, pardon me, in second. And now the caution does wave.
So I'm not sure if this is another. Yep, that is a new incident. That is going to be the number 12 truck.
Carson Burrows, pardon me. And we were 4 wide. Innocent bystander, but we were 4 wide, which there's plenty of space for it, but just because there's space for it does not necessarily mean it's the ideal recommendation.
Yeah, so you see that 12 duck low, down beneath that white line, making it 4 wide, very aggressive move.
But the move was not that.
Trying to get out of the way of the 77, I think. The 86 got a little spooked. He came down the track, made a little bit of contact, might have even been net code there. Yeah, just a little bit of net code, and then a complete racing deal. I mean, I don't think you could fault anybody in that situation for the way it went down. And you combine tight racing with net code, get incidents.
Absolutely. So a rough start here to the Freecash 180 for the Truck Series. I mean, we got off of the opening, we got off the grid. We got through the opening sequence, which, again, the last 4 or 5 restarts last night, we struggled immensely to do that. So I guess we'll take the positives as they do come. And again, the race sponsor here today, by name of Freecash 180. We will put the link to that in our YouTube description as well as in our YouTube chat now. It's a website where there's a lot of deals and surveys and games you can play to redeem for actual cash. So I've actually used it in the past before. It is tangible. You will get stuff. You can send it to your PayPal, and by signing up through that affiliate link, you do in turn help our partner out here with the area. So some drivers heading on in. Jeremy Miller, I think he did get his penalty cleared, but the more important thing for him is that front end damage.
Yeah, that was not a small hit at the start of the race. It was a big stack up. I guess he didn't get the memo. Came in there a little bit too hot by mistake, and then got that front end caved in. And that is going to be rough. Normally, I'd say, it's a little bit of damage. It's not going to be that bad. But this aero model, man, it seems like if you see any deformation anywhere on these trucks, it's going to have some sort of effect. And this level of competition, you can't afford to have that thing too dinged up.
Absolutely. You remember last week at Daytona, as we always said, the draft is the biggest Band-Aid of all. So, you might have a mangled front end, or you can even see Tyler Reddick in the real world in the Daytona 500. The draft will cover a lot of that front end damage as long as the engine is okay and the temps are okay. But here in Miami, you're in the wind, you're in the open breeze. You need all that proper aerodynamics. So hopefully for him, he can get that repaired, but those blue lights on our overlays indicate 1 to green. So lap number 6 will get back going. Cabry and Jacob Harberts front row. Brad Slaughter, Jeremy Brown in second.
Jeremy Brown is definitely going to be a name to look out for. I know I didn't pick him, but you did, and he is probably one of the busiest drivers on iRacing. I don't know what he must be eating his Wheaties in the morning, because I swear every league that I watch, he's in like 6 different leagues that I've seen, and probably more that I haven't. This guy puts in the hours. He loves this thing. He loves the sim. and he gets a lot of driving done, and it shows. He's gotten pretty good as of recent. He's putting up good results in all the leagues that I see. So he's going to be a fun one to watch up here, battling it out with these 609 boys. It'll be definitely a battle one way or the other now. The pace car getting ready to pull off. Everybody's kind of got everything sorted out. Hopefully, no jitters for this restart. We don't want to, get a little bit too anxious here and have another stack up. We want a good, clean drive into turn one. Pace car goes down the pit road. Into the restart zone goes Jacob Harberts. And Jacob's going to get on that loud pedal, immediately flaming out, trying to maybe poke our nose at 3 wide, but we do make it past the line, front to end of the field. Looking a little bit chaotic back there, but a good jump for Harberts.
Yeah, thus far coming into turn number 2 here and fanning out using every last inch of this Homestead Miami and the progressively banked track. 18 to the bottom, 19 middle, 20 to the top. Jeremy Miller super loose there off of 2 and down the back. Doing a lot of wiggles, but does rein it on in, and you can see the different lanes. Ryan Swan running an inch off the fence, and Jeremy Brown, no chicane here at Homestead. We're wrecking to the back. Logan Hartman, he was involved in the first one, and he is involved in the second one.
There was no chicane. We made one. Inadvertently. Take a look at the PTR TV instant replay. Try to figure out what exactly transpired here. As we dial it up, keep your eye on that 86. A little bit of a connectivity issue for the 15, but through the corner.
Oh, that was not connectivity.
Arcing it way up wide. Gets into the quarter panel, bit of a snap overcorrect into the wall. He goes. That piece of the fender slid further than he did. Again, I think that was just 2 cars kind of coming into each other, bit of a racing deal. I don't think he did anything wrong there necessarily. It was just 2 lines colliding.
Yep, in the 2004 Howie Day song, You and I Collide, and unfortunately in motorsport, that's not always a favorable thing, but didn't change anything up front, and it does give us the opportunity, again, to thank some of our other partners here with Area, and they'll flash by on the bottom of your display. Our replay is brought to you by Hendry County Motorsports Park. Travis Beckner, again, the flagman there, so you'll see him if you are there on April 4th, where they do have, now my doc here is a little outdated, but you can go there on April 4th. They have a bunch of stuff, and tickets 20 for adults, discounts for seniors, teens, and the age 5 and under kids get in for free. Hendry County Motorsports Park, the southernmost dirt track in North America, right there off Highway US 27 in Clewiston. And again, you'll see Travis Beckner there on the flag stand, currently in 3rd. And he's trying to show what he can do. He's one of those guys who runs the top quite well, running one of those new Dodges, but we just got to get going so these guys can get in a rhythm.
Yeah, we do. Just a bit of an update from race control. Been kind of spot on, I suppose, from up in the booth on that lap 2 incident. Race control did deem that to be a racing incident. No fault assigned. And then on that lap 6 incident we just saw, the 75 was deemed to be slightly more at fault for coming up just a little bit too far, which is, kind of what I saw. Obviously nothing intentional. It's just this track, Corey, you want to arc out to that wall. You want to use up every bit of pavement you got, and sometimes there's a truck there that you just didn't see sneak up on you. So spatial awareness is going to be very important at a track like this, where you're trying to diamond the corners, arc the corners, do whatever you can to get a little bit more momentum.
Absolutely. It's kind of a weird line that I've never really seen before executed here. We saw it last night where traditionally you'll either run the bottom, you'll run the middle, you'll run the top, but we've actually seen drivers run the bottom and then just essentially drive up the hill for the remainder of the turn and then end up at the wall on corner exit, almost like a late apex, but not really. It's hard to describe until we've seen it, and I'm sure we'll see someone run it once we get ourselves into a rhythm, but this should be one to go. We do have kind of the quickie cautions here at the 1.5-mile tracks, and that is indeed the case. Doubled up, stacked up. I'll tell you there, Dirt, someone who, as much as we hate to see all these cautions, I'll tell you there's one person that loves them, and that's Jeremy Miller, because this is all more and more time for him to get that car fixed, that truck.
Yeah, obviously you don't want to go a lap down trying to get it fixed up. Now, visually, his car does look repaired now. Disclaimer on the broadcast side of things, sometimes what we're seeing is not 100% true. Sometimes it is still damaged and we can't see it. Sometimes it's not damaged and it looks like it is to us. But that hit, I think, is something they should be able to get fixed up pretty much good as new, given enough time. So if he hasn't already gotten it fixed, give him another yellow, and I'm sure he'll be just fine. The problem will then become navigating traffic, 38 trucks in the field, and having to snake your way up through all of them, especially when they are constantly trying to go 3 and 4 wide, Corey. They're not settling for 2 wide or single file, not making passing very easy on anybody. So qualifying seems to have been pretty important. This track position really holding its value at the moment. Base truck gets a bit of a suspension check there, pulling off of the banking, and as we head back into the restart zone, we're going to try again, third time tonight. That number 80 truck is going to lead us down into turn 1, and just like those other restarts, we've got some trucks filling out, looking every lane they possibly can. We're already going to go 3 wide, 2 rows deep, and that number 70 in the middle going to try to shoot the gap. That lane is going to close up quite a bit on quarter exit. They're able to make it work, though.
Maybe 4 wide.
3, maybe even 4 wide with Jeremy Miller. Oh my.
Yeah, 35 to the bottom. That's Danny Ware, who washes up nearly into Conrath. And then you have ripping the fence up there, Brian Noel, who, if anything, that might be the safest place to run here. We do get 1 complete lap, which I think maybe the first green flag lap we have run in its entirety. So positive sentiments being had right now. Travis Beckner did get up to second. Brad Slaughter down to fourth in that number 81 as who's that yellow truck down to the inside making a pass. Zach Carr underneath Slaughter, who is heading the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm losing a little bit of time now, but honestly could be a bit of a strategy play, not burning the tires up right now, not using your equipment up too quick. If it stays green, this track will be a conservationist's dream. If you can save just a little bit more tire on the rim, if you can save a little bit of fuel, go a little bit further, I think it'll pay dividends, assuming it goes green. Now, obviously, the trend of this race has been going in the opposite direction there.
Oh.
We've gotten quite a few cautions to start, but a little bit of a wiggle there.
That chicane that chicane, that Homestead chicane is being quite popular. That was Garrett Conrath. Obviously, these guys getting very loose. Now, we talked about it in opening there, the new aero package here. There is a lot of instances that will cause these drivers to get aero loose, and as much practice as they have, they're still getting used to them. And it wouldn't surprise me here on corner exit here at Miami that some aero loose is being instigated.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit. I think with this aero package iRacing gave us, you're going to see that pretty much everywhere, but the mile and a halfs are going to be one of the biggest culprits. These tracks are so aero dependent, and these trucks are so slippy slidey on this hot pavement. And oh boy, a little bit of a Logano block there, but it worked out in the end. He knew where he was. He knew he was safe to make that move. 54, Cole Cabery able to play a little bit of defense there, and it all worked out in the end. But single file up front for 1 and 2, Jacob Harberts, Travis Beckner, then back for 3rd and 4th. This is where it starts to get too wide, and they are still kind of scattering. I think another thing contributing to this kind of chaotic racing we're seeing, Corey, is just that Homestead is one of those tracks that you can run almost anywhere. If you want to run the bottom, you can do that. If you want to run the top, you can do that. If you want to run the center groove, it's open to you. So everybody's kind of got a different line they're comfortable with, a different line they're fast at, and they're kind of scrambling to get to that lane and hoping that it's open and just kind of going all over the place here. It's fun to watch, but boy, it's stressful when we're seeing things like that.
Absolutely. We're waiting to see how this plays out, and I really want to see what the tire fall off is going to be. It looks like we're already at a half a second. I'll tell you, in the Cup race, I think we went down to about 1 and 1.25 seconds. And Homestead is a track that you will see short pitting. You will see drivers try to go for the tire undercut there, but we have to have the confidence before those happen. Have to go about 25, 30 laps. Drivers will make those difficult decisions. So whether we get that far is, a risk to be had. But here is Travis Beckner, our Hendry County boy, going to the inside. Really had the bite off of 2, ripping the fence. Now he has to switch lanes to the bottom of Harberts. That's your pick up there, trying to survive in that 609 truck. And we have 2 Hendry County boys, 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, this is some great battling for the race lead. We got pretty much 4 trucks under a blanket, and even the drivers tailing them not too far behind. I think now that these guys have sorted it out, they've kind of found the lane they kind of all agree on. They're running low in the corners, but arcing out on the straightaway, of course, getting a good run, driving down the banking, down to the apex. Kind of a standard low line that they're running, not really venturing up too far. Now, as the tires wear, you're probably going to see them migrate up the track further and further, but right now doing so would just wear the tires out more than necessary, and none of these guys want to wear the tires out more than they need to. Battle for third place, 24 on the 60, 24 goes down low, 60 gets forced into an unfamiliar groove, not quite able to roll the center with the speed he's going to need for some defense, but they will stay nose to nose. A Homestead chicane taking effect, and down the straightaway he'll get clear again, so he did get the defense done, and now actually on that high groove, looking to maybe take P2 for himself, and a slingshot around the outside on the 28. He's going to do it.
Yeah, as we like to say, like 2 trailer park girls, Chilcutt ran around the outside there and got by Travis Beckner. And Beckner now looking to lose that spot to Cody Dempster, and then soon behind that is Zach Carr. And that is something that is modeled, and that's something that happens in the real world as well, where, you know, you shoot out of the cannon too aggressively, maybe you run the top too much, burn the tires off, and then you're on struggle bus. Do have 4 sets, I do believe, here in the pits if we need them. But again, do you want to pit under green? Do you want to risk any kind of short strategies? You have to see what the flow of the race is going to be. As Ryan Swan with a big slide off of 4.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot more of that tonight. That was not the first driver, and nor will it be the last to have a bit of a slide coming out of the corner off 4. But as we now ride on board from that number 20, looking back, just, I mean, you can see it, Corey. I mean, especially when we go to this view looking down the straightaway dead on. These guys are fighting these trucks at every turn. They're fighting it going in, they're fighting it in the middle, they're especially fighting on exit. That looks to be the trouble zone for both corners, both ends of the tracks. It is going to be corner exit they're really struggling with. So I don't know about you, but I like this. I like when the truck is hard to drive. I like when these guys are kind of put in uncomfortable situations. I think it makes the best racing as long as they can keep it clean. So far, knock on wood, this run's gone pretty well.
Yes, it has. We're starting to spread out again. The beauty of Miami is it gives you every lane to operate in, so you're not fighting for 2 lanes or anything like that. You can use every inch of this progressively banked 1.5 miles. And here we go up front, battle for the lead. It's going to be Chilcutt. I mean, he's already in the advantageous position using that high lane. And I think I may have saw something go asunder in the back. So far, so good, but that will be not quite. Harberts will hang on for now.
Yeah, he's trying, though. He is not letting him just drive away with it. Back to the bottom. Alex Chilcutt going to try to get the nose ahead, take the lead over momentarily, but it seems like whenever somebody makes an offensive move on that low line and they try to take a position, that center to top lane, oh my goodness, Cody Dempster, he got loose. Oh, he had every opportunity to accidentally spin around there. Oh boy, contact to the number 6 is going to get him loose going into the corner. Somehow, Alex Chilcutt is able to save.
Back there.
Cody Dempster all over the place. He is still loose.
Was that kind of a don't mess with my boy there from Travis Beckner, I believe. Look at this. This is Beckner here. That was a shot to Dempster, and there was another one.
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, it could be sort of a, hey, lay off my boy, but also that 24 was looking so out of shape there. He might have checked up more than the truck behind really expected. I mean, it could have just been a complete racing incident because these guys they're barely hanging on, man. I mean, when we were following that 24, I thought on 3 separate occasions he was going around, but somehow able to keep it going, at least for the time being. And again, these guys struggling with the handling, and it's only going to get worse, Corey. These tires go away, and it's going to get even more. The 35 slides up. That was the car. A little bit of
Danny
push,
Ware.
I'd call it,
Danny Ware and to Trevor Edwards, pardon me. Edwards now being surpassed there by Grant Brown. So again, we are seeing drivers, use every bit of the track, but we're also seeing drivers commit to their lanes and drivers trying to squeeze into the gaps. And oh my goodness, what do we got going on up here? Nearly 4 wide off of 2. They're back to 2 by 2, but you know, they go 4 wide in the corner dirt, and then they all blend together on corner exit, and that's where it gets hairy.
Yeah, that's definitely been, again, the trouble zone. Getting out of the corner, we've seen spot everybody and their brother get loose so far in these trucks. So side by side, even more difficult, and having to try to stick into a lane that the truck maybe isn't very comfortable in is never ideal. But 03, I think, might have scraped the wall there. That's going to force the 3 wide situation with a 20 to 70. That was actually 4 wide momentarily. There was another truck, I believe, bottom of the frame that we could only barely see. So somehow these guys were able to smoothly navigate around that 03 after he scraped the wall, manage a 4 wide situation, come out the other side clean. This has been surprisingly good. I mean, the way this race started, I would never have expected a run like this, especially one where these guys are given every opportunity to make a mistake, but they're just not. You know, they've been really good about keeping these trucks pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, just look at this spread out here, and I mean, this is, you know, it's respect, it's car control or truck control, but something that I want to point out, and I talked about fall off, and holy my Lanta, this is some of the craziest we've seen on iRacing in some recent memory. This is our leader, 1.4 seconds of fall off, so I don't have the exact number here on mileage. I'd estimate probably 50 laps, 52, somewhere like that would be a fuel run, but again, longer we go, if you have the trust that we're going to run green, you can entertain short pitting strategies here, but that is such a risk, especially when you see packs like this.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking a little bit to see them so close, especially bobbing and weaving like they are, but I tell you what, this has been action-packed. Homestead, not disappointing, giving us that multi-groove action that it's known for. I mean, you come to Homestead, this is what you expect. There was a few years on the sim where the package didn't really lend itself to this sort of racing, but it seems like Homestead is back in full force, giving us what we generally expect. With a really low entry, Jeremy Brown in that 46 truck going to have to take a bit of a shallow entry, slow down quite a bit in the center. You see as we look back, a few trucks gaining on him, and oh boy, the 14 and the 46, no.
Does that qualify as a commentator's curse, I imagine?
That absolutely qualifies, and there he goes back to the pits.
Well, we caught that live. We caught it live. Of course, that 40. Oh, he just. It's only the commentator's curse when it happens to them, but that one actually was basically his fault there. Not the admin, but I'll make that executive decision that I think that's where this one's going to slide. We'll go on with his onboard from the front perspective this time. That's Grant Brown. I don't know if he knew that they were 3 wide. I feel like that was what the biggest issue there was with that.
Well, the way that he shot a little bit to the right there before the contact, it looked to me like he was in a bit of a push-loose situation. Like, if he turns the wheel, it's spinning out. You know, he's kind of in a slide. If he tries to crank it to the bottom and avoid contact, he's spinning out. So to avoid that, he's chasing it up the track and unfortunately ran out of track. There was a truck there. It happens. I mean, and if he had spun out, it would have been a wreck regardless. He would have slid up into traffic. He was trying to avoid that probably. And yeah, no, the contact definitely, I would say, on him, but definitely I don't think that was an awareness issue. That was just this truck being as difficult as it has been tonight. It's not an easy task.
Absolutely. Just a little bit of A, a little bit of B. Somebody almost just Kyle Larson the pit wall there. It looked like in the back of the shot, but heading into the pits, I mean, this will be the first set of tires. We have 4 sets, so there is enough. If we have enough cautions, you know, you won't be able to take them every single opportunity, but we have enough to at least get you through the requirements here. And 1.5 seconds fall off. Tough decisions to be made. And is that Travis Beckner nearly getting out of the pits first there, but we'll have to suffice for second. Where did Alex Chilcutt fall to? He did not have a good time in the pits. His pit lane time was about 5 seconds slower than everybody else. So something drastic happened to that 60. And the number 78 of Aaron Johnson remaining on the racetrack.
A bit of an interesting call. Haven't really... connection issues there. He did come back into existence after a moment. But I mean, yeah, we have not gone a full fuel run. We've definitely not gone a full tire run, but this far into the race, not taking tires is going to be quite a big disadvantage. I mean, last time we looked, Corey, they were at about a half a second deficit from fresh tire times, and that was, I don't know, about 15 laps ago that we looked. So I would estimate about a second off pace. He's going to be in free fall mode. To quote you, he's going to be in Alicia Keys mode, just falling.
Absolutely, and we will not try to get to her register of upper pitch voices there, but this is there's no math to be done. He has not pit yet, so this is 33 lap tires, and not even there was a race at Pocono there, and you may remember this because you remember almost every race that I remember. It was at Pocono, and Juan Montoya stayed out on old tires. And I remember Wally Dallenbach said he'll be fine he'll be fine on the straightaway, but the problem arises when he has to turn, and that's where he's going to have problems. But here at Homestead, it's not even the turn; he has to get up to speed and through the gears on these slick restarts. So ultra nervous here, Dirt.
Yeah, especially when we already saw a stack up in the initial start of the race. So definitely a possibility here. I admire the bold strategy. I do admire the boldness, but I'm not sure I understand fully the commitment to it. And right away, there's the wheel spin up through the gears. He's side to side. Almost became a ping pong ball, but immediately to the lead goes the number 20 truck.
Travis Beckner.
He's still not having fun. He's still not having fun.
Yeah, like I said, he had to turn, and that's where the issues arise on those ultra old tires, but it's not going to matter because we're wrecking in the back.
16 in the
Zach Nerney,
66 maybe?
96 of Eli Green, 66 of Zach Nerney. Not sure who was the instigator and the instigatee, but that's why we have replay. Watch that blue and white truck in the middle, that Biffle truck a little bit higher up. Biffle 96, LVV goes in the middle, and I mean, that's a kind of another one of those situations of, was Nerney aware, or did he just wash up?
The way that it was wiggling, I think that was a wash, Corey. Honestly, I think we're going to see this happen numerous times tonight, and it's the same story every time. They get loose, they try to chase it up, and a lot like what we used to see in the Cup Series at Atlanta in real life when that pavement was worn out, when the cars had way too much horsepower for their own good. You'd see drivers have to chase it up the track, and it was the instigator of a lot of issues, and we're just kind of seeing something similar here, because like you mentioned to me earlier, you were talking about the age of this place, the pavement and everything. It's not the smoothest track anymore. It's got its bumps, it's got its character, it's got its personality, so you can just kind of add that on to the bullet point list of challenges that these guys are dealing with.
Yeah, I hate being the old guy who remembers every iteration of this racetrack. I talked about it last night. This track used to be a mini rectangle, miniature Indianapolis, and the corner radiuses were so dangerous. Unfortunately, took the life of John Nemechek, Joe Nemechek's brother, which is how John Hunter got his name. Reconfigured soon after that into the same shape, however, only 6 degrees of banking, which was perfect for the Kart FedEx Championship Series, the precursor to IndyCar. But when NASCAR came here, of course, 6 degrees of banking was boring. So in 2003, using entirely PC rendering of that time, they built this track into the progressive banks that it is, and they actually raced NASCAR Thunder 2004 here as a precursor to the real race. And luckily that experiment worked out into the best track that NASCAR really provides.
I've said for a long time Thunder 04 had the most realistic physics of any console NASCAR game, and that's including NASCAR 25, by the way. And I think the fact that they used it to experiment kind of proves that. But that is why 2004 does have both iterations of Homestead in the game. It's got the old flat version that you can race on, and it's got banked Homestead as well. So, back when you had a lot of content in those games, a lot of fun things to unlock and play with, and that's a podcast topic, of which this is not, Corey.
I got to put that on a t-shirt. I got to put that on a t-shirt. And mind you, there is a PTR TV store now. I mean, there is area merch. I don't want to cross-brand, but, we do have our own swag down there as well. That line is not there quite yet. There was an allure to running this old track on the flat version. It was fun in its own way. Something else that is fun is eating spicy food. And you can do that with the help of Rick's Hot Sauce. You can see right there on the number 20 of Ryan Swan's automobile. You can head over to rickshotsauce.com for the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Probably not too far away from this very racetrack. Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, and South Beach Heat. That's a Miami name. And they are sponsoring a $100 Rookie of the Year challenge on our Monday series with the Cup Series. So rickshotsauce.com, try out their hot sauce and see who they're going to give money to in the Monday night series. But we're coming through 3 and 4. Had our best run of the race right at that pivotal time where strategy could have been implemented. So let's see what happens on this go-round here as we come into what I believe is the United Rentals restart zone. Barney will get them underway. It is Harberts, it is Beckner. Let's try this again.
Closing in on 1/3 distance here as we take lap 38. We are going to be down into turn 1, mostly calm and collected. I say that as we go 4 wide. The number 20 trying to sling it around that teal blue wall. And I think he's going to make it work, maybe pick up a couple positions in the process. But look at this backstretch. Try to identify any individual car in that cluster. It's going to take you a while. That's going to be a Where's Waldo trying to find your driver in that cluster. I do not envy the spotters again. 3 now going to go 4 wide again, maybe. Nope. 20 gets blocked, which may be for the better. As the last time we saw 4 wide, it didn't end too well. But I'll tell you, that number 20, Ryan Swan, he's got a lot of speed. Nowhere to really take it right now, but he's been working his way up through the grid. And I think if you give him enough laps, there might be something there. He could be a real contender if he can survive fully. Look at this onboard. Cars to the front, cars to the back, cars to the inside, wall to the outside. I mean, where do you go? You just go wherever you possibly can. And again, to the wall. He loves this outside groove. Using up those fresh tires, maybe kind of abusing them a little bit. But hey, if he picks up the positions, might be worth it.
And I want to stay on board with him here through 1 and 2 because never mind. I was just going to brag at how well he was running the wall. So he runs the bottom, but none of that matters because we're under caution. Landscapers now have about 50 square feet less to work with now, and that is Jeffrey Wilson.
Well, we haven't talked a lot about old Jeffrey tonight. We'll see what exactly is getting him his time in the spotlight. Coming down the straightaway, 2 wide with the number 3. There's that 24. Bad push from the 24, gets the 3 loose.
We'll get a different
back up in the traffic, the 70 collected.
We'll get a different perspective of that. I think that was one of those classic who came up, who came down scenarios, which we've seen about, I don't know, I think every single caution thus far. There's the push you talked about. Who's that driver ahead? There was that blue truck. I want to see who that blue truck. That's the 65. Let's pause this. Let's go from the rear decklet of Ben Pierce because I think he's going to have a really good visual of this. That outside truck, yeah, but it was due to the push. So again, I don't envy admin having to make these calls.
I think that was definitely the 24 giving him a shot. Obviously, nothing intentional. Just the admins even let us know. They gave us a bit of a warning going into the race that pushing is not working out very well with these trucks at this track. It is extremely temperamental, Corey. If you're not lined up to the 1/10 of an inch, you might find yourself careening towards the infield or out towards that wall. So it's something you want to avoid, but at the same time, if you can make it work, there's something to gain. I mean, you've been talking about the draft all night long and how it is still kind of a factor, even though this is a 1.5, even though the trucks are pretty difficult to drive, the draft is 100% a factor. And so, yeah, they want to push each other. It's just, it's a risky game.
Yeah, they did give that to the 85 in terms of the incident score system, which, does lead you into the penalties here. There's a cause for almost everything. There are a couple racing incidents, as we've seen, but typically most incidents do have a cause. 86 Logan Hartman there. Rest in peace, his front fender there, but don't talk to Tyler Reddick. Sometimes you don't need that, but this is not a plate track. So Again, just going through here, I think I'm going to have all my ad reads done by halfway at this point, Dirt. If you want to look really cool, he's not in the race. There was a driver last night who had an area hat in his driver photo. I made the perfect segue. Unfortunately, he's not here, but the segue nonetheless. Shop.areairacing.com is your headquarters for high-quality merch at low prices. You can check out their new selection of t-shirts, hats, Adidas clothing, and other accessories. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areairacing.com. And again, with the studio temporary rebrand and all the new logos and whatnot that have been applied for this 2026 revival of Area, I will say their merch actually does look really, really nice. And you can go check it out. But that'll be one to go.
Oh, go ahead. We are going to get the one to go signal, but yeah, no, I mean, going back to the merch thing, these leagues, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, there's a lot of money that goes into the sessions, that goes into the broadcasts, it goes into the drivers and the sponsors and everything. So, supporting these leagues, if somebody that, you're friends with races in these leagues and is a part of them, supporting these leagues is important. And it's not just this league, it's really any league that you enjoy, that you think is bringing something good to the service. It always helps out a little bit to support these leagues and keep them from going under, because leagues like this is where the best racing happens. It's where the good battles occur. It's where I think a lot of people have the most fun. They kind of come to these leagues, they want to get out of the public sessions, they want to get out of A Open and B Open, and if these leagues can't stay afloat, you're going to be doing a whole lot of A Open. So yeah, check out the merch. It does look good, like Corey said, and it's always nice to give a tip of that to a league that has been around for a while, kind of influential here on the service, and giving these drivers a place to put on a show for us to watch and enjoy. But here we go. Pace truck going to pull down into pit road, and we are going to do it again. We're going to be 2 wide all the way through down into turn 1. 28 truck going to the good jump. Travis Beckner to a solo lead, and pretty calm behind so far, Corey.
Absolutely, but now they fan out here into turn 1 and 2. As coming on through 71 of Chase Swank going all the way to the top of the track. 3 wide with Danny Ware in the middle, but they will blend down into a paltry 2 wide here down the back straightaway. 77 of Jacob Bell. Remember, he was involved in something earlier in the race, but all these cautions have allowed him to recover. And someone else who's recovered, Jeremy Miller, he's up to 17th in the heart of the jungle right now. And who is that? That's the 5 of Garrett Grant, who kamikaze the wall there, and Jeremy Miller. No bueno right there. That's going to send Danny Ware around.
Poor Danny Ware might have just got drilled back there. I've seen some cars kind of barreling out of the corner at him, but he's been involved in a couple incidents tonight that have not really been...
What's that bright orange truck in the middle? I mean...
Yeah, he came up, hit not one but 2 cars. And unfortunately, they had nowhere to go. That 35 into Danny Ware. Unfortunate.
Yeah, they were 4 wide. Who was that? That was Chase Capri down to the bottom, and then up into the 71, and then eventually up into the 35. And then I don't think there was any residual impact from there, but puts us under caution again. So we are going to take this opportunity here. I don't expect any pit stops or anything. We're going to go side by side for a brief commercial break, and we'll be back with you for the restart. So please stay with us. right, we're back here on PTR TV for today's coverage of the Area Truck Series race number 2, the Freecash 180, here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Myself, Corey Silva, in the booth with Andre Dirk Grambush here, giving us all of the commentary, and we're back after another caution. I believe we're on about our 5th caution of the race. Green flag back in the air. Beckner with the whole shot, but the problem is going to be, are we going to go green and filter through for the rest of the drivers?
To desperation, because hey, if you're the number 60, if you're the number 7, if you're any of these guys in this gaggle, Corey, you don't want to be here. You want to be up front. You want to be single file away from everything that's going on, so you're not caught up. As we do have
someone else running the chicane,
getting over the leaves. So you get desperate to make moves to get out of that pack, and that just paradoxically increases the issues.
Paradoxically, that's a nice word. I like that one. But yeah, the issues just get worse and worse, but we'll see what happens. We did have a couple good runs. We went about 25-30 laps, saw some of the best racing I've seen in quite some time here on the service, and I know that we have the ability to replicate that. We'll see if we can do that here, as we are still prior to halfway. Most drivers have only pit once for one set of tires, still have about 3 on the wall for the majority of the field. Only have 3 retirees from the race right now: Logan Hartman, Jeremy Brown. So my pick is quite literally in the trash. And then Dawson Miller, shotgun on the field as lap 52 on the boards. Beckner hanging on. Zach Carr is in second. We have Garrett Conrath now in second, and the biggest challenge Beckner's had in quite some time.
Yeah, this has been a good battle with Garrett Conrath, showing good speed, and Zach Carr in that 27 was looking to the outside, trying to get P2 for himself. Didn't quite make it happen, and he's since backed off, just riding single file now for the moment. But lap 53 now as we cross the line out of 120, and just a little bit past the third mark. Still got a lot of racing left to go, and I think patience is going to be the biggest virtue here. With all the chaos, with all the crazy things going on, I think the driver that just takes it easy for a little bit is going to be the ultimate winner. We'll have to see, but I'm not really seeing that patience out of Beckner. He is trying to get away from these guys. He is driving the wheels off that thing, but Eric Conrath, Zach Carr, these guys, they're filling up his mirror, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and it's just a matter of time. The later the run goes and those other lanes come in, the top tends to work a little bit better later in the run, not necessarily right on the outskirts of a restart here. Zach Carr going to the bottom, Conrath to the top, but that may be a good thing. Let's see if it gets him to run off the exit. Look at the head of steam Conrath has. He will clear the 27, but he doesn't choose to take the inside lane on Beckner.
Yeah, that might have been just thinking better of it in that inside lane. Making moves on the inside is where you get into trouble, because if that car starts to wash up the track, like we've seen so many times tonight, you might wind up making contact, then you're bringing in a few people's races, and it's just not worth it. Not at this point. The outside seems to be the comfortable place to make your moves, but not quite as much momentum up there as I really would have expected. So you got to be real dialed in up there. You got to be real good, and some of these guys just not comfortable. So either way, all throughout the field, I'm seeing a little bit less 3 wide, a little bit less 4 wide. These guys seem to have gotten mostly single file with some straggler 2 wide. This is the makings of a longer run, Corey. I think finally the fatigue starting to set in. These guys are getting a little bit tired. The anxiousness to get up front starting to fade a little bit, and they're kind of settling things down a little bit, which is good to see, because they want to make it to that checkered flag, and they're going to have to do that.
Absolutely. We did do during that commercial break a little refresh of our paint software, and a couple cars did load in as, again, the Homestead chicane in full force. Can't quite tell who the recipient of what was, but a bunch of drivers running out of the way there, down all the way down to the apron. Shocked we don't have a groove forming up down there at this point.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised myself as we see a couple cars maybe scrape the wall on corner exit. Some of these guys probably on a little bit of a longer stint here. Sort of starting to get to one at least. So the handling going to go away. A little bit further back, Jeremy Miller up to P14 is the tail end of that little pack we were focusing on. And again, not making a lot of friends last week or this week, but I'll tell you what, who needs friends when you got speed? And there's a lot of speed behind the wheel of that number 30. I mean, he was just, at the top of the broadcast, you were kind of counting him out. Oh, he's got the drive-through, he's the yellow. Well, here he is, almost thinking about breaking into the top 10.
Yes, he is, and like they say with Hurricane Hocevar says he doesn't talk to anyone, he just does his thing, and he's on the verge of a win. So we said, who needs friends when you got success? And who is that? That's the 70 of, I believe, Hayden Swank. Yes, it is. He was going all the way down low underneath Cole Cabry there. Makes that pass, and now the 03 of Dante Curtis looking to the outside here, trying to squeeze on top, but not able to do so. Brad Slaughter. Remember, Slaughter was up front earlier in the race, started second, but really just has never been able to maintain really a top 5 spot since the first few restarts. And look at the top, look at Miller ripping the fence.
Yeah, he is really liking that high line, carrying a ton of momentum. I think he might have pushed the 24 a little bit, which is a risky maneuver to make, but seemed to have made it work. And here's the 20. In the middle group, look at that, Corey shooting in the frame, taking a position or two on the way. I'm telling you, man, that 20, if he can just get the drag position, he's looking real good. Maybe he and the 30 can kind of work together, cars through the field, have to wait and see. But they're going to go 3 wide momentarily, 30 in the middle, 54 down low, 24 up high. Say, Jeremy Miller, that is it. That's going to be a top 10 position as far as the scoring pylon is concerned. Ryan Swan picks one up on the pylon as well, up to P11 now. So 2 drivers on the run here towards the front. They're going to go side by side for second place. Meanwhile, we've been focused on that back there, but we got a challenge for P2. They're going to get a little bit slowed up by racing one another. That opens the door back for Harberts, who did lead quite a few laps earlier in tonight's event. And here comes Chilcutt as well. He was up front earlier. Now he's back with these boys. Brian Noel is going to be P6. He's in this pack as well. So these guys are making it pretty tight for the lead here, Corey.
Yes, they are. And again, Beckner is just doing a great job hanging on for now. And right now, it just doesn't seem like, we're seeing drivers in the middle of the pack utilizing that higher lane, utilizing the middle lane, but we're not seeing the top 5 use that. So I wonder if that dirty air is what's making that third lane be so advantageous. But up front, we have the choice in the clean air. They're choosing to be right on that white line. But now Miller just ripping the fence. Now he's ripping the white line. 78 Aaron Johnson in the middle. And we've seen the exit of the corners be super tight. Going down to take the momentum away is Johnson. And now here's Chase Swank looking underneath Jeremy.
Yeah, he might get the move down again. That low side is the risky place to make the move. That's why truck wants to arc out towards the wall, near contact there. Now he's going to dive down low to the 78, try to get a bit of side draft on him. Jeremy Miller just trying to get away from these guys up in that high group, 81 ahead. Kind of giving him that draft, pulling him his boat. 71 able to stick to that white line throughout most of the corner. Almost going to go through wide with Jeremy until the momentum pulls him back up front of these two. But there's just so much going on all over this track right now. Battles for the lead, battles for the top 2, battles further back. Here's the 55. He was involved in that initial incident there with the number 30 on the start. The start they're looking out too wide as the partner was outside. Couldn't quite make out a number or a name, but somebody there had a bit of a ride there for it.
I see the 75 up there. Nicholas Renner, he was another one of the EOLs. Kyle Taub in that 56, and then Forrest Smith, Zach Nerney. Remember, he was involved in something on the back straightaway, but we've had enough yellows that, and let's just be real, we're going slow enough here at Homestead. We're only going about 140, 150. By the time you spin and hit the wall, the damage isn't, catastrophic in most cases. So after a caution 2, we'll get that truck back up to 80%, which may be enough, as somebody with a huge slide, I think that was the 75 off of 4. Those tires won't be mad, won't be happy, but at least he has a truck.
Yeah, that is going to be the case. You got to watch those tires, don't heat them up too much. But hard to do when the track is 120 degrees and you're kind of sliding around every which way as we ride on board with Murney in the 66, currently P29. Involved in an incident earlier, but able to make a bit of a recovery there in the number 66. For the lead, not much has changed, still 0.2 of a second, but for second place, this is the battle, man. This is, or not for second, I'm sorry, this is the 27, is 70 to 7. This is for P5, and they've been really going at it 3 wide numerous times. 70 playing a little bit of defense on the low side, the 70 trying to get the run up top, but so far neither one able to take advantage as they run, and just great battles all over the place. Riding on board now, Zach Carr. That is how close it is, putting his door to the outside, trying to get that run. He has a little bit of momentum here. He's going to follow in the line, carry that momentum down to the corner entry, taking a higher line in. And you were saying you like that high line, Corey. To me, it looks a little unstable. It looks real difficult to run well, but I mean, do you think there's something there for these guys?
Absolutely. There is more grip up there. There is more banking up there. It's just a matter of, saving the tires. Here on the service, it does tend to, in my experience, which I haven't run much on this most recent build, but it puts more load with the higher speeds up top, and that's Ryan Swan denting that bottle of Rick's hot sauce. Luckily, that's the only damage there. Hopefully it's not leaking, but no refunds are allowed here, at least in this instance, but he does carry on. But yeah, that top of the racetrack, it puts more load on the tire, at least on the service with the higher speed, and that tends to wear it out more. So I tend to save it as I call it my turbo pad line. I save it for when I need it, but I try not to run it exclusively. But I don't know if that's still an accurate depiction.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. And like I said, Homestead is one of those tracks where I feel like there's speed anywhere. It's just, can you handle it? And that high line, while it has been maybe a little better for overtakes, because passing on the low side risks getting tied up into the wall, but it has maybe not been the better line for defense. Kind of put yourself a little bit of risk. So it's a choice they got to make. Where are they comfortable? Where do they think the drivers around them are comfortable and least likely to make contact? So definitely fun to watch, and these drivers seem to go back and forth. I mean, when we were going on board earlier, Corey, we expected somebody to take the high line because that's what he had been doing, and then he dives down to the bottom. So they're just kind of putting this truck wherever it feels comfortable, and so far it's working out for this run at least. We've been green for a while now, getting through a bit of a tire run, a bit of a fuel run. Beckner continuing to extend his lead just a little bit. It was 0.2 of a second last time we looked, and in the middle of the corner it was up to 0.4, now down to 3. We got Jacob Harberts, Garrett Conrad, Alex Chilcutt, Aiden Swank in the 70. So a little bit of field spread, I would say, probably more than we've seen all night.
Yeah, this is I don't want to say this is the longest run. I think we're about 24 laps in on this stint. And let's just, we'll reference our race leader right now because he's the best one to get the stat on in the clean air. Beckner running, what's that math, about 1.8 seconds. That's some of the craziest fall off here on iRacing. I know in some real world cases we're 3 to 4 seconds, but on iRacing 2 seconds a lap is huge. And as I've said, this is a track where short pitting is huge. But again, do you have the trust to short pit? Because the trust lies in, do you think this is green enough? It looks like it is, but then I see this.
Yeah, just when you think things have calmed down, we've got the 33 wide with the 54 and the 32. That is Trevor Edwards, Cole Caber, Caber? I'm going to say Caber.
Oh!
Caber. Oh, that is the one. As they get a little bit of a bump draft going down the straightaway, we've seen this go awry a time or two, but they're able to hold on to it and make it work. Meanwhile, I think the 30 saw that happening and said, you know what, I'm going to get down to the bottom. I'm going to get away from that just in case anything happens. A little bit of a slide up and out of the corner, but he does a good job, Corey. You can see he was in a full-tire slide right there. That was a full-blown drift, but he still kept it low, kept it off the cars above. Some good car control. They're going to need it here as well. Number 55 in the middle. 56 up top.
Oh, taking the lead.
Slide up, maybe. maybe a little bit of contact, but somehow, Corey, how did they make that work?
And that was Steven Oberstadt down to the inside. So that was a very sketch 3 wide, but a 3 wide nonetheless. And we managed to carry on. Did I just win banana ball tickets? No, I didn't. Just got an email on my Apple Watch there. If I got banana ball tickets, I'd be running through the roof right now. But we are 75 laps in, so this is 45 to go. We're within a fuel stint to finish this thing through. I'm just waiting. Someone is going to draw first blood. Someone is going to take the risk. I just do not know who it is, and I'm expecting it around lap 80. That would be, for most drivers, around 30 to 35 laps. Someone is going to pit around lap 80. I'm calling it now. When I'm wrong, I'm not really going to take too much heat for it. But Danny Ware, he was involved in something. He's trying to drive his way back through. But Travis Beckner, I mean, if you're a Hendry Racing Motorsports Park fan, 42 laps led for that 28. And he's held a gap of about 4/10 this entire run.
Yeah, it's been a very impressive lead that he's been able to maintain. I tell you what, though, Jacob Harberts has kind of turned up the wick a little bit. He is occasionally reeling him in by just a little bit. Last time, Beckner still had the advantage by about 0.02 of a second. Now, coming across the line, it is going to be advantage to Harberts by about 1/10. So he's reeling him in, and we may have a battle on our hands. I know that Harberts was running a little bit slower. He was back in P4. Then he started picking him off. He got around Chilcott. He got around Swank. Got up to P2. That's when he started running. So I got to wonder if maybe Beckner, in his effort to extend his lead and pull away from these guys, didn't heat up those tires a little bit, use them up a little bit more than this number 80. He might have an advantage. Have to wait and see as they work their way through the corner. I think the lap time is going to be dead even this time. But really, how hard do they even battle for the lead, knowing that, like you said, Corey, we're so close to
Here it is. Here it is.
sequence.
Called it. Brad Slaughter, 3 laps earlier than I thought. He was not, I think he was just outside of the top 10. But again, this is the call where, for Travis Beckner, we're at exactly 2 seconds of fall off, down to the mid-36s, which just is flabbergasting for a 1.5-mile track. So he was a top 10 driver. The top 10 goes back about 4 seconds. So if you want to think of it this way, after 2 laps, Brad Slaughter would effectively work out to be the leader. In 3 laps, he'll have a lead by 2 seconds. That's just what the pace is right now. This is Cody Dempster, and this is just a risk for everybody else. Every lap you stay out, you're going from being the chaser to the chasee.
Boy, you were talking about that high line, Corey. In that corner, at least, the number 80 was really using that high line. Now back through 3 and 4, he's gotten down on that white line, trying to go low. That tells me he's just searching, Corey. He's trying to get into clean air, trying to figure out where can I gain a bit of an advantage, where could I maybe make this move. As
oh, no!
Cars on pit road, it's going to be a spin for the 44.
Corey Bodie there.
No.
Speaking of dented things there, that can of sun drop, Josh Parrish, you can see him backing up. Now, a couple of years ago, they updated Homestead. You don't have to take the access road anymore. You peel right off of turn number 4, which is the realistic thing. And that must have been on a downshift or maybe too much rear brake, because that thing just completely took off. But more and more drivers pitting. When do the leaders decide to make that very difficult decision? And who's that yellow truck there? He just butchered it. That's Chase Swank. Butchered it and said nope. Instead of trying to Kyle Larson the pit barrels there, said I may as well just take another lap and try again.
That is one of the worst feelings in oval racing. When you miss that pit stop, when you miss pit road and you're just going down the straightaway at 70 miles an hour, it is awful. And that happens, I think, more here at Homestead than any other 1.5-mile oval, because that pit road entry is so tough, Corey. It is right out of the corner. There's a huge change in banking. If the league is not enforcing where you've got to get down on the apron, going into 3 and 4, like I think they did in real life for a few years, it's very tough. It's a last-second entry. It's a very tight corner. That's why we saw the 54 get a little bit loose, and that's why we saw right there a driver miss the pit road altogether. funny, we talked about it. We talked about preparing for these stops, and this is why.
Yeah, lap number 80. So, I mean, I'm already right because about 5 or 6 drivers have chose to pit. Somebody else peeling off here. That's Jeremy Miller. So, Corey Silva still does have the ability to crew chief one of these things, even though I don't race as much as I used to. Eli Green just behind, and we're still waiting for one of the top 5. Now, is that going to be a Harberts? Here comes somebody that is the 7, Brian Noel. He already pitted. Now, he is essentially Superman right now and getting his lap back because you want to be on the lead lap. If a caution comes out there, you know it's better to be on the lead lap and tail end than it is to be lucky dog and having to stay out and longest line and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff to deal with indeed. And as this all cycles through, Beckner has yet to come down pit road. Harbert's yet to pit road. Alex Chilcutt, most of our leaders staying out, but these guys in the back, they know that they want this track position. Here comes the 18 truck. Been about mid-pack all day. He's been in the thick of it and not having an easy time for certain.
Here's the leader.
Comes one of those drivers who did take tires, and the leader going to slide it down into pit road. Shades of Takumi Fujiwara with a 4-wheel drift down to the apron. I believe he got down to pit road speed. That was smooth, Corey. That was about the best entry you could ask for.
Yep. If someone does get a black flag, you will see it on the ticker right next to their gap. You'll see a little black flag icon pop up if they do indeed get themselves in trouble. But for the time being, successful for Beckner. And typically, you want to be the second place guy. Usually wants to draw first blood. So that was good call by Beckner to kind of get Harberts out there, because now, on top of him losing the track position to Harberts because Harberts was faster, now he's going to be 2 seconds further behind.
That will be a difficult gap to overcome if it stays green. And, I mean, if a caution were to come out in this sequence, that would complicate matters even more. But with all the separation, I think you can kind of plan on it going all the way through. So Cole Cavery with the provisional lead at the moment. Eric Conrad still yet to come down pit road. Chase Cavery, they're in third. Everything's just sort of jumbled up. These drivers gonna sort out so different than when they came in. And it's all that different strategy. Drivers with the undercut taking advantage now. But what I'm wondering, Corey, is did these drivers that took the undercut set themselves up for some serious misery later on? Because they'll be, if it stays green, on the oldest tires that they've had all night by the time we get to lap 120. And it's going to be absolutely rough. The driving conditions are already tough, but that's not going to help. Here comes the 15. Some tires as well.
It ultimately boils down to the plateau point, which there's a certain point, usually about 25 laps in, as we have another peel off there. That's Garrett Conrad. There's a certain point, usually about 20 laps in, where the tires just kind of, they hit their plateau. They won't really wear too much after that point. So you need to be able to hang on long enough to that plateau point. And if you can, I mean, you're still at a disadvantage, but you might be able to hold your own for so to speak. And ultimately, they all do have another set on the wall. So say a caution comes out, say 20 to go, as here comes Cole in, and I imagine Chase to follow. Chase going deep and trying to catch his brother there, does just that. If you get that caution, 20 to go, peels everybody back in, then you get the net gain out of it.
Yeah, that was a really good entry. Again, no black flag on the scoring and timing pylon, so legal entry, gained them a lot right there. And these guys, again, they're going to sort out a little bit further back thanks to how long they stayed out on old tires. But they're going to have the best driving truck when it comes down to the end of this race. So it'll be interesting to see how that dichotomy plays out and where everybody kind of settles into once we get a little bit further into this final stint. A little bit of two-wide action here. The 28 of Travis Beckner, who has led so many laps tonight, trying to navigate that 24 truck, and around he goes. Cody Dempster going to give up the position. But that is how far back some of these drivers are compared to where they were. I mean, staying up that little bit of time, Corey, costs you a ton of ground. Now here comes the 27. This was another lead pack car. He held out longer than most. Lap 89, he's only going to have to go 31 laps, 32 laps on those tires.
Absolutely. Now, the biggest real battle to watch right now is actually going to be Brad Slaughter to Travis Beckner, because remember, Slaughter was the one that drew first blood on that pit cycle in that number 81, and he is 7.5 seconds off the lead, and Beckner right there, not too far back in the shot. In fact, next truck. So once Beckner does get by Slaughter, which should happen probably within 3 to 4 laps, Beckner will cycle through the lead once everybody pits. Still waiting on Jeffrey Wilson, still waiting on Ryan Swan, and still waiting on Brian Noel. And once that happens, actually no, Noel pit 14 laps ago, so he is okay, but he just has old tires in relative terms.
Yeah, that 14 laps is an eternity as far as the way this track has been treating the tires. They go fast, and the speed quickly dissipates. So we'll see. Maybe that, a little bit of contact there to the outside wall from that red truck. Again, can't quite make out the number. I think that might have been
orange truck there. I can't make it out either, actually.
Behind the 35. And that might
Chris
be
Seidenfaden. Chris
Seidenfaden.
We haven't said that name once today. Chris Seidenfaden in the 99 truck. I think he is actually still yet to pit himself. And here comes Jeffrey Wilson. I imagine Ryan Swan not going to be too far back. No, Swan will remain on the track. And, this is the perfect point for that caution. Because if they get a caution right now, for example, that's 30 to go. This will be the third set of tires for Ryan Swan. He can pit, and he still has a bonus set. Problem for everybody else is it would be their final set, so you wouldn't have like a green-white checker or 5 to go set if the situation arises. So they need the caution, and they need it now, but the fuel cell is going to be crying, and the tires are already crying up a storm, and I think he's coming this time by.
He will get that truck serviced finally. He held out as long as he could. And, I don't think, given the way this race started, that banking on a caution was necessarily a bad bet. It just didn't play out that way. We did wind up staying green, and now he is going to pay dearly for that, losing a ton of time for the amount of laps that he stayed out. Lap 93 out of 120. We are less than 30 to go here at Homestead. Well past two-thirds. And there is the stint graphic. Travis Beckner currently in the lead, and he's got some of the freshest tires amongst the top 10, save for Jacob Harberts, who did stay out 1 lap longer. He's got 1 lap fresher tires, which will make a bit of a difference. I think he's going to gain just a bit. And yeah, that is to the leader. He's closing in, but the question is, when does he hit that plateau, and is this traffic going to kind of prevent any sort of real comeback?
Because this traffic in front of him is for position. Now, you have Cody Dempster, who's been out for 16 laps. You have Hayden Swank, who's been out for 10. 10 is only 1 lap less, or run that more, rather, than what Harberts has. So it's not going to be the easiest pass, but thus far he will make it. The 24 got loose up there. That leaves Hayden Swank. And then after that, it's Brad Slaughter. And then after that, it's just basically a shot up to Travis Beckner. So remember, he was right on the rear deck lid, was Harberts, and a little bit of it was the pit stop itself. Actually, no, I'm looking at the back end time, and no, he was 0.3 of a second faster on the pit road cycle. Was Beckner over Harberts. So a little bit of time in the pits, a lap on the track, that equals 3 seconds.
Yeah, that makes sense. And again, curious to see how it plays out. Is way on the high side. Number 77 is rocking the Larson
boss man.
Line, whatever you want to call it.
That's the boss man, Jacob Bell. And with Blue Tip Pool Builders, you can bring some party to your backyard this summer with Blue Tip Pool Builders. Customize your pool with your own unique style and aesthetics. They have highly skilled craftsmen with cutting-edge technology. Bring your pool to life. If you don't have a pool, they can also do up your outdoor space, giving you some dynamic lounging areas, outdoor kitchens, and more. BlueTipPools.com. We said it last week. Give me a fire pit, give me a pit boss grill, and maybe some cool lighting all throughout, and I'll be outside every day of the summer. But if I was outside every day of the summer, I couldn't broadcast this 3-wide racing that we have up front.
No, and it is some phenomenal racing. Even when this race was a little bit more speckled with cautions earlier, before they got it really kind of cleaned up, it was still really good racing when we were green. I mean, 3 and 4 wide, and now even despite the separation and the completed green flag pit stop, we're still seeing really great battles. Number 70 doing what he can, trying to make that line work, play a little bit of defense there. Number 7 on the outside of the 60. A lot of drivers on these fresh tires, Corey, feeling a little bit more comfortable up there. We're seeing some drivers rock that high line, and why not? I mean, we don't have too much racing left. I think the idea of conservation's kind of gone out the window now. It's just get what you can out of the car, which remains true for Jacob Harberts. And again, 1 lap is the difference on tires here, Corey. The last time by, it's still a 0.3 of a advantage for Harberts.
Nuts.
He is really closing in, and I am shocked that 1 lap of tires can make that difference. I don't know if maybe Beckner's just taking it easy, maybe he's not going all out, but either way, that 80's coming.
That's what I'm expecting right now is Beckner wants to have something to race with when Harberts gets there, because I mean, I know this it still bothers me to this day. I lost the championship in 2017 because I pit a lap earlier than somebody else, and that lap early cost me. So I do know it does mean something, but I do think he is saving a little bit in, you know, the aerodynamics. Harberts will get there, but he's going to have to find a way by, and Beckner can try to take the line away and make things happen. But now that gap is sub 1 second. And, of course, we don't have a PTR TV draft lottery, or we don't have a PTR TV commentators pick standings. But if we did, Dirt would be looking pretty nice if that 80 pulls it in victory circle.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like a good pick, and he's been fast all night long. But like you said, once he gets there, if he gets there, it's going to be a real tough. Dirty Air has meant a lot here at Homestead tonight. Here's a great battle. Brad Slaughter, Cody Dempster, Brian Noel, and then Jeremy Miller, that number 30, who did get that drive-through at the start of the race. He's been inside the top 10 for a while now, looking to maybe pick up another position or two. There's P7 on the pylon, looking to the outside of the 24, maybe for P6. Either way, if he doesn't get beyond 7th or 6th place roundabout, you still can't complain about a top 10. Really good points day, given the start of the night for him. Some of the chaos that has kind of occurred. Salvaging a good points day out of this race is going to be massive for that team. And seems to be what he's doing. Now he looks to the low side. The high side didn't work. Couldn't get the position up there, so he said, all right, down to the white line, we're going to go. This battling, allowing the 81 Brad Slaughter to pull away just a little bit. Has some room to breathe. And then behind him, Noel waiting for an opportunity. He's in the catbird seat if these two have any sort of issue. And look at that, Corey. Miller on the actual apron, flirting with that white line, getting a little bit unsettled. Just goes to show you he is really pushing.
I saw a little bit of damage to the right front of Miller too, but it doesn't seem to be hurting him all too much here. As going up to the wall, maybe his Homestead dues. I mean, obviously they call it the Darlington Stripe. I don't think we have a Homestead verbiage for hitting the wall, but I'm sure someone will come up with one at some point. But here we go up front, and you know, it's giving me shades of Denny Hamlin versus Chase Elliott, where the last run, just, it's not there. I mean, let's just take a look at the weather here as we started about 120. So track temp has actually gone up as we've elapsed about an hour and a half since this race began. Nothing's really changed. But remember, Harberts was 3 seconds back on 1 lap newer tires. There is just something different right now. I can't put this on the tires.
Yeah, it's up. Because like I said, I mean, 1 lap does make a difference. Hard to believe it makes this much of a difference. So could just be Beckner's been in conservation mode. He knows that he's got to have a little bit of tire left to play defense. You know, maybe he knew Harberts was going to catch him one way or the other. But if he backs up, takes it easy on his tires, and then puts that 80 in dirty air, you can keep it behind you and conserve all in one go. But if you just try to outdrive him, you're going to use your stuff up. You might be at a disadvantage towards the end of the race. It could be a very smart play, or it could just be that Harberts found something. We'll never know. All we can do is speculate. What I do know is this is going to be a battle. They are too close, and there is too few laps remaining for this to be anything but a battle for the win And it's just these two. It is Beckner and Harvard. Hayden Swank is 2 seconds back. Alex Chilcutt 2 seconds back. And for the lead, that 80 is going to look low, way low. The 28 tried to defend on the high line, but Corey, he gave up a ton of momentum. Had to lift off the throttle more than planned. He might get clear by the time they get into the corner. If he can't, that'll be disastrous. He does not get clear. Not able to cut that line off. Oh,
and look at the wiggle from Beckner. That's air right there. That's air, and that may have been a little contact there. You just saw that 28 was just teetering there, just couldn't get the stability through the corner. And now Harberts, they're going to meet in the middle, both fighting for the bottom. They're meeting in the middle. They're dooring each other up the track side by side. Shades of Bristol at Homestead, Miami.
I'll tell you what, that was a great camera angle, seeing that 28 dance around the track. So unstable. These guys are on the ragged edge, and you can see it clearer there than any other angle. Now on the low side, man, it looks like these guys are going so slow through the corner, Corey, and they probably are.
130.
As Hayden Swank is closed in about a half a second in the last 2 laps. Goes to show the amount of time these guys are costing each other with this battle. But more contact there. The 28 going to come down into the 80. And it's going to cost him the lead. New race leader, Jacob Harberts, but don't count out that 28. He's going to drive down the bank, and he's going to have a shot at it.
No, I mean, Beckner gave everything he had, and Harberts, I mean, you know that you race clean, you do everything you can do, but at some point, you got to take what's yours when the laps are running down, and I don't think I could be too mad about that. If I'm the number 28, you kind of knew that you were in your waning stages, and I mean, the disappointment will certainly come across because what's the lap lead count? 66 out of 120, over half of the race. But again, still a set of tires on the wall. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to use them, but the opportunity is there for a short run if we have a caution. But again, I like what we see, and I want to keep this going. Someone running the chicane down there. Can't figure out who that was, but it was some orange truck ran the Homestead chicane. I think that was Chris Seidenfeld.
Yeah, I believe that was. And again, we'll have to look at the PTR TV instant replay here on area. Just way down to the apron. A little bit of a misstep there, maybe trying to get out of the way of the leaders. Not entirely certain, but oh well, no harm, no foul. And oh boy, the number 30. We got it on live scenes there. He was in the outside wall. I mean, he was scraping that. Going to lose a ton of momentum. I think Chase Cavery might actually have an opportunity here. From the momentum lost, he'll dive down low. This would be, if he can take it, for P7. 99 is a lap down. He's not a part of this battle for position. And there it is. Cavery is going to get that position on the 30. I think there was a little bit of damage on that 30 machine, and I think he cooked his equipment trying to work his way through this field forward. He is not quite showing the pace that he had earlier.
Yeah, again, he just had one of those days that is just a comeback effort. And, you know, you're obviously disappointed. You get the pole and you don't get to, you know, go for the win the entire time. But, you know, given the circumstances, you do have to just kind of be good for a point stay at the end of the day. There's no chase in this. No, there is a chase scenario, but, you know, a point stay does mean something in this new format. And, of course, if you like what you see next week, we're going to head to a kind of sort of similar track in the form of Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the trifecta of Area Series next week. So how will these trucks handle a track that is probably going to...
Oh, my goodness.
Be very similar temperature-wise. That was Hayden Swank, who went for a ride, and how that was not a caution was a great bit of driving, Chilka and Swank.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the replay here. Just kind of came together.
I think the 70 got loose down into the 60 for my interpretation there, but we stay green, and Harberts, now he's got a gap, 7/10, and look at that slide from Beckner, giving it all he has, and look at that gap, 3.5 seconds back to Chilcutt there in third. And Chilcutt, again, 1 lap older tires than Harberts, so it's not an egregious difference, but man, it built up.
It really did, and you know, it could also just be the line choice. You know, maybe there was something about Beckner's line that was using those tires up a little bit quicker. Who knows, but it is going to be a massive lead, and he's just hoping no cautions. No cautions. We can drive away to the victory. Beckner's 0.8 of a second back. Alex Chilcutt is 3.5 seconds back. That is an eternity here at Homestead. But you can never be certain we're going to stay green. Again, that incident we showed on the replay between the 60 and 70, or not the 60, I'm sorry, it was the 70.
Oh no!
And the truck though. Oh, and that's
Grant Brown running the chicane. I mean, you saw him.
More than ran the chicane. He calibrated the outside wall and then ran the chicane.
No, he was underneath Parrish there. Grant Brown in the 14. It's loose, it's loose, it's loose. It corrected, boom. And then go run the chicane down there, which I am genuinely surprised we have not formed a rubber lineup down there. As many drivers have run it, but for more importantly for everybody else, he kept it at the right angles. Barney said let him race. And now we are at 5 laps to go, and Jacob Harbritz has accumulated a 1 second lead, which I think statistically is the biggest lead we've had outside of strategy calls.
Yeah, it's the biggest walk away for the leader that we have seen. Beckner now about a second back completely. 5 to go.
Oh!
But these guys are trying to.
That's Cody Edwards. Cody Dempster. I just mixed two names together there. Out of, he had a massive save there through 1 and 2. And I think at this point, nobody wants to be that guy. Everyone just wants this race to finish on through. Eli Green, and that's Dante Curtis. Bump, bump, bump through the corner like a B2K song. Coming off the corner, 96 sideways, hangs on to it. I mean, I think we may have a self-spin before we have a contact spin. These guys are struggling out here.
Well, and remember what I said, Corey. Some of these guys that came down pit road very early set themselves up for a bad time in these closing laps because these tires are ancient. They are cooked. If iRacing had cording modeled on these tires, they'd probably be cording by now. And it's tough. Track is as hot as it's been all night. Tires are as bad as they've been. And these guys are just barely hanging on. That 24 of Cody Dempster, he has been struggling with that truck all night long, but I got to give him insane props. As sideways as he has gotten, as out of control as he has seemed, he has kept that thing making laps. He has not had an accident. He's not spun out, not got into the wall. He's like a bull rider on a bucking bronc.
Oh,
no! Oh, my goodness. There it is. The caution that'll change
Joseph
everything.
Swan.
A lot of damage to that right front, Corey. What happened here?
Yeah, we have a running joke on PTR TV of doing the Boston accent. I don't want to do my Larry Mack, but this changes everything. This is going to allow them to put a set of tires on. And he just got loose, and it corrected up the track and back down. Barney, right in Barney's view, he was not going to let that one slide. But now I am so worried right now. I'm going to use politically correct terms here because you would know what I want to say, but is anybody going to be advantageous enough to try 2 tires right now? There's a word that I want to use, but I'm just going to say advantageous enough to try it.
I think it could be a play to try, but the thing about taking 2 tires, Corey, is it almost always makes the car looser because you've got a ton of grip on the right side and like no grip on the left, and loose is what they're already fighting. I think if you took 2 tires here, you'd be facing a truck that is nearly impossible to drive, and right on the bumper, that 28 is going to follow our leader down into pit road. Everybody's coming for freshies. Can't blame them. Again, those tires were absolutely abysmal, and I can't imagine trying to restart, get up through the gears on the tires that we had. Let's watch those jack stands, Corey. Let's see if anybody is, as you say, advantageous or forward-thinking, trying to get 2 tires. No, that's going to be 4 for the 54. Let's watch that number 30.
Thus far, nope, everything works out as expected, at least for those up front anyways. I will say Beckner...
No, that 30 took 2. 30 car took 2.
Oh, yeah, because he was in about 8th or 10th. Let's pull up his statistics here for his pit stop to certify that 9.7. Wait, hold the phone. Hold the phone. The phone is being held right now. I thought I saw the jacks go up, but look at these stops. 1, 2, 3. First on 4 is Travis Beckner.
Okay, so I think all three of those drivers did take two because I was watching the 30 the most intently, and then the right side was the only one that went up for him. But I did see those jack stands come up for Chilcutt and Harberts as well, so they all must have taken two. And Beckner only having to pass three trucks, having the advantage of four tires. It's going to be a GWC. He's not going to have a lot of time to do it, but Corey, I think he's got a real good shot.
Yeah, I mean, this might be his redeeming factor. I mean, a lot of these drivers, again, we have a lot of upper echelon drivers. We have a lot of teams, and there's very seldom impulsive decisions. And there's very seldom situations that have not been tested before. So have they tested hot Homestead track with 40-lap heavily raced tires and then changing to as they tested it? I'm sure somebody had to have. But I'm also sure somebody didn't. And hopefully, between all of those culminations of activity, we don't have any replications of what we had last night with restarts.
It's going to be interesting. I think restarting on two tires is going to be... It's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy. So these three leaders, and then the 28 having to kind of watch out for any incidents that may arise. He's not even fully in the clear. If the two trucks ahead of him have an issue on the restart, he's going to get caught up. So here we go. Base truck down pit road. Jacob Harberts, Alex Chilcutt, Jeremy Miller, Travis Beckner, Dante Curtis, your top five. And we're wrecking already. That number 80 going to hold on to the lead. That'll be another GWC. 12 involved, 56, the 71.
Yeah, I think
24 that I was talking up.
Yeah, I talked about. I saw Kyle Taub, who is the one that, at least it most came to my memory, and we'll see where Beckner shuffles out on the pylon here for this. But yep, he got sideways. Chase had nowhere to go, and then it's just calamity.
Yeah, I feel bad for Chase there because you could see he did give him a heck of a courtesy lift, but it just, I mean, he's coming down India one way or the other. Not really a lot you can do when you got a car behind you as well. So these restarts are insanely difficult, and that is kind of a good example of it. And if that stack up occurs, there's not a lot of options you got there. 56 goes across the nose. Into a few other drivers there, and I believe the number 28 truck may have actually lost a position.
Well, he's third, at least tentatively.
He's third, so he gained one.
Tentatively, right now, he's being registered as third, which it's an advantage in the sense of he can time it with the leader versus having to look to his left and try to, time it from the outside lane, but you don't have the opportunity as the inside car to dive low three wide because you do risk a restart penalty. As the outside car, you can just go high and go around if someone spins. So that's his danger, but I'm going to take the good with the bad and say that this is the best case scenario. But I'll tell you, if there's one car, one truck, it doesn't matter if it's two tires or not, that is going to be hard to get by under any circumstance, based on our very limited knowledge, it's going to be Jeremy Miller.
Yeah, and a lot of these drivers probably aware of that, probably ready to get aggressive if they need to, but we've got to make it to that white flag, and it could be all for naught. I'm going to be honest with you, Corey. I'm starting to feel like maybe the race winner's not even in the top four right now. I think with the disparity of tires, 28 on 4, everybody around him on 2, and how aggressively we know that 30 likes to play defense, I'm kind of predicting a little bit of chaos here, and either Harberts is going to drive away from it or he's going to be a part of it. And some of these drivers a little bit further back, they need to get up on the wheel and get ready because there might be a golden opportunity thrown their way here. Maybe I'm being a bit too pessimistic, but I mean, man, if I'm a driver and I'm sitting in the front 2 or 3 rows, I'm thinking, this is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that's pessimism. I think it's just being a realist. So that's typically how my brain functions as well. So the Freecash 180 here for the Area Truck Series. Certainly, it's gone through its phases. It's gone through its calamity. It's gone through its amazingness through the center of the race. And then back to Calamity. And of course, if you're watching this live, or if you're even watching this in the replay form, you can sign up for Freecash with the affiliate link there in the description and in the pinned chat, and that will help out Area iRacing. So again, if you haven't, it's free to join, free to sign up, and you can get yourself free cash. There's really no strings attached to it. But let's see what happens here for the green-white checker, the driver who's dominated this race. Travis Beckner, freshest tires there inside of road number 2. The driver who had the race wrapped up. Jacob Harbert's the driver who got the pole but didn't get to enjoy it with a drive-through on lap 1. Jeremy Miller, who's going to come home with the Freecash 180 trophy. We'll find out in 2 laps time, Dirt.
That we will. Hopefully we'll find out in 2 laps. And we are immediately going to dive down for position to 28, trying to get around the number 30 with a healthy shell of Lee from Derek Conrad behind. It's going to put the 28 up into P2, the 30 falling through the field through wide situation. Now, here we go. Battle for the lead. Tire advantage goes to Beckner. He's going to look low. I think he's going to be able to look low. Nope, the 80 is going to defend. 28 goes up high. And caution comes out. It'll be GWC number 3.
And this is the final attempt.
56.
Kyle
Involved
Taub
again, and like you said, final attempt at it. So whatever happens is going to happen. Oh boy.
Now let's go back and try to sort out what happened to Kyle here on the back straightaway. Yeah, it was in front of him. Oh, 71 went around. That was Chase Swank, and then Kyle was just a innocent bystander in the nature. And let's see what happened. Oh, they're 4, almost 5 wide for a brief moment there. Tell me how that's going to work. 24 Dempster, some contact. Joseph Swan. So 71 got loose off the contact with the 24. And then this hospital wobbled into Grant and Taub. If I'm admin, good luck making that call, as many of these calls are not easy here today. But Jacob Harbert's hanging on. What is he hoping for? He is hoping for another one of those insta cautions. He wants somebody about, I don't know, 2-3 rows back, get wheel spin, hook it to the right, put it in the fence, race is over on the 3rd green-white checker. If you're Beckner, or now even Cole Cabry, Cole is also on 4 tires. Conrath is on 4 tires. They want these 2 laps to play through.
Yes, they do. And honestly, I think either option is equally likely. It could go all the way, or we could have one of those instant cautions. It's tough to call. We've seen this race be the best of both worlds. We've had some really long green flag runs. We did see a completed pit sequence. And then we've had, kind of pepperings of cautions throughout the race. So hard to make that call, but the number 80 has been so good. If he loses this race and it goes green and he gets passed up by somebody on 4, he's going to be blaming the strategist, definitely not the driver, because he's been driving well all night long. And really all these guys up front, Corey, have been driving super well. You talked about the admins not really being able to have an easy time sorting out what the cause of a lot of these incidents are. If I was an admin, I would just write down on the sheet, cause of incident, she loose. Because this truck is it's all over the place. And these leaders have done such a good job taming it. And I can't wait to see who comes out on top.
Absolutely here. Will it be the driver who's led over half the race, or will it be the driver who had it locked up via the strategy and the hard-nosed driving to get that lead? Remember, he did have to take what was his. There was a little contact there between the 28 and the 80, but eventually the 80 was going to take it. But he will choose to take that outside lane, which is an interesting call. And the reason I say it's interesting is we've seen most of the wheel spin incidents on that outside lane. So he's going to put himself in that risky scenario. But if Beckner can get rolling, 4 tires on the bottom, it's his race. But we know how difficult it is to start and get a good restart from that 2nd position.
That definitely could be. And with the way that this restart is going to play out, our race leader is maybe not going to be able to get on the power as quickly and efficiently as he'd like. So I don't think he's going to get out to an immediate advantage. That's going to slow everybody up. So that's going to give the 2nd row a good opportunity. If they stay right up on that bumper, They get into the corner, they might be able to poke their nose in. We'll just have to wait and see. But pace truck about to make that turn. We're doubled up, and it'll be the final restart of the race, one way or the other, whether we make it to the checkered flag or whether Barney has to get that yellow flag out one last time. Either way, this will be the conclusion of the Freecash 180 here at Homestead. And through the restart zone, that's that rear spin I talked about, Corey. Race leader not out to an advantage. They're going to go 3 wide. Big defensive block from the 28. Checks them up. 3, almost 4 wide. The 80 loses the advantage. 28 to the lead. 54 going to be right behind with a huge run, Corey. This is not over. Coming out of the corner. They're going to be going down the back straightaway for the penultimate time to the low side. The 54 gets to the quarter panel. Draft help to the outside, though. Oh, it is anybody's race up front if this stays green.
I thought Beckner had it in the bag, but Cole Cabry came out with a head of steam here. Equal tires, big wiggle there. Can he hang on to it? He can, but he's going to lose the position. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by shop.areairacing.com. Cabry with the dive there. He'll clear, but will there be a crossover move? We have Garrett Conrath ripping the fence, but will there be enough time? Travis Beckner has led the majority of this race. It kind of fell into his lap, but just as that happened, Cole Cabry got on the wheel, drove to the inside. Beckner with a dive, trying to get to the bumper, cannot do it. Cole Cabry going to steal the Freecash 180 on the green-white checker. What a move, what a race, and we're wrecking behind.
I told you, Corey. I told you I didn't think it was going to be one of the top 4 that won this race. And that driver came up from a few rows back over the last few restarts. We were not even mentioning his name, and then all of a sudden, here he is. He led the most important lap, didn't lead the most, but he led the one that matters. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Beckner, I mean, you really can't. You got to tip your hat. You had it in your lap. You had the position. You had the tires. You had everything you needed, but he just got beat. So, got to give it to Cole there. What was his final tally? Oh, he led 4. It's not 1. He led 4. So, he did some justice there, and he'll burn it down there. Pit Stop TV. Again, our cameras here today brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams, which is Andrew Cardinale's company there with Pit Stop TV. So, good little ad segment there at the same time as that victory burnout. But as Cabry does his victory burnout, let's wrap up tonight's broadcast, give you the final rundown of results here today from the Freecash 180 at Homestead, Miami. Final margin of victory, 0.2 of a second. Cabry over Beckner. Garrett Conrath with a 3rd. Brad Slaughter with a 4th. Jacob Harberts had it in the bag until it didn't. He finishes 5th. Jeremy Miller, good recovery for 6th. Hayden Swank in 7th. Chase Cabry in 8th. Jacob Bell, the boss man, in 9th. And then rounding out the top 10, Danny Ware.
Outside of the top 10, Trevor Edwards going to be P11. Alex Chilcutt in the number 60 takes home P12. Dante Curtis, didn't really talk about him a lot tonight, but top half of the field and a good run for that 0-3. Ben Pierce is going to be P14. Aaron Johnson, 15. Forrest Smith going to be P16. Eli Green in the 96 takes home P17. Bryce Senesac, Chris Siedenfaden, and Steven Oberstadt going to round out your top 20.
And we'll just let the rest of the results scroll on through here. You can look for your favorite driver as we prepare for our post-race show. Say that 10 times fast here. And then Jeremy Brown, my pick. Well, not going to be the best day for me on the commentator stat sheet, but we don't have the winner quite yet, so I'll grab here 2nd place. I have Travis Beckner. Well, Travis, I don't know how you can compartmentalize that race. It was yours until it wasn't, and then you had the chance to seal the deal, and Cole just took it from you, man. What happened there?
I mean, there's nothing I could do there. I didn't want to wreck myself going into 1 there, so just seeing him diving it down in there, I thought he was going to throw a slider up the track, so he's going to cut back down, and wasn't able to really do anything there. But went back into turn 3. He was just too far away for me to get a bumper on him. But yeah, nothing I could do. Unfortunate circumstances. Got lucky with the caution though. Didn't really have a chance, but right there I did, and just nothing I could do.
Well, I mean, at the very least, I would imagine it'd give you some confidence running here quick at 1.5 miles next week at Las Vegas. Similar-ish track temp, I imagine, will be pretty toasty as well. So Does your running here give you confidence that you can back it up next week?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Vegas has been pretty good to me. Haven't won there, but a bunch of top 10s, top 5s, and just getting off week to think about it more, and just gonna come back more aggressive and get it done.
Absolutely, man. Any final words before we let you go?
Yep, got to thank my sponsors, Hendry County Motorsports Park, Superior Race Cars, General Elevator Solutions, Velocity RPM, Wilson Race Cars. Also got to thank my dad. He's sitting behind me right now. Everybody that was watching tonight. There for a while, didn't think we were going to go green at all, and then we went green. I was surprised. And one more shout out to Jacob Bell for bringing back area for season 8, and y'all taking time out of your day to broadcast this. Absolutely, my friend. You put on a good show, and we'll see you next race. Thank you.
And now heading to Victory Circle with Cole Cabry is Dirt to see how he made that happen.
All right, Mr. Cabry, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what. There was a lot of predictions throughout the course of the race. I'm not sure either of us in the booth predicted that late race jump for you was going to happen, but you played it well. You know, you were up front all night long. You were in the mix, and when it mattered most, you were able to kind of take advantage of those leaders battling it out. Took the lead by force, never looked back. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, man, I think that we saved a little too much there at the beginning and gave those guys a good head start, basically, once we got our first green flag pit stop. I thought we were going to probably run third there if that caution didn't come out. We just gave them a little too much room there, and but luckily that caution did come out, and I said we're going to take 4 here. I think everyone's going to take 2. So luckily it worked out. It sucks for Jacob. He kind of had that thing locked up, but happy to get one early in the season.
Yeah, always great to get the season off to a good start, a lot of momentum there. Tell me a little bit about the handling conditions, Cole, because it seemed like everybody on the track was suffering with a loose condition. We saw these cars really dancing around in and out of the corners. You looked pretty stable, though. Looked like you had a good hang of it. What was it like behind the wheel?
Yeah, man, actually the air played a whole lot, which is new to me because I'm a short track guy, so I don't do too much NASCAR stuff. So dealing with air and stuff is a little different for me. But yeah, no, the truck was loose. It was tight. You get behind someone and you peek your nose out and then snap loose. So you definitely had to keep the tires under you all night, and it was fun. I had a good run.
Yeah, the best run, I would say, out of everybody. It was a phenomenal race, and for somebody who's not really experienced with aero racing, well, this was about the worst place to learn, and yet somehow you still managed. Phenomenal job. Big congratulations. Before we let you go, Cole, any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely everyone at the shop and Ironhead Motorsports. Pretty sick to, like, a new team to start it off with a win is sick. And, Area and everyone that puts this league on. Like I said, it's my first season, so, I'm just getting used to it, and everyone seems pretty chill. So happy to keep chugging along, and thank you to everybody.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Congrats on your win. Be seen again soon.
Thank you, man.
All right, and now third place here to wrap up the podium. I got Garrett Conrath. Well, 36th to third. I mean, on the stat sheet, that looks pretty good. But talk about that last green-white checker, Garrett. You saw everything going on. You had fresh tires. I mean, what was the hope? What was the plan to try to put that 49 to victory lane? Just came a little short.
Yeah, I thought I was in a good position there on the last restart. I was restarting 4th and tried to run the top and just didn't have enough speed up there on the top as we did earlier in the race, felt like. So a little bit short, but overall decent day from starting 36, I think it was.
Yeah, we just talked to Cole, and he talked about how the air was here today, the handling. We saw so many guys. We were basically saying people were running the chicane off turn number 2, getting loose all the way down to the back. What was the biggest challenge for you in that 49 car? I didn't really see any issues, but we saw the struggle with the track temp, the aero. Where did you kind of stand with that 49 tonight getting around?
Yeah, I definitely struggled at first long run there with my tires. I destroyed them essentially, and then after that green flag pit stop, I kind of found a new rhythm, a new line that really worked for me, and got back up to basically where I was, or a little bit better before the pit stops. So it took me pretty much the whole race to figure it out, but I kind of got there.
Well, hopefully you can take that and feed it into Las Vegas, which similar-ish I'm imagining it'll be a day race, so we'll have the same experience. We'll see what you can do there. But any shout-outs, final words you want to let you go? What you want to give before we let you go?
Yep, thank you to Superior Race Car, General Elevator Solutions, Velocity RPM, and Hendry County Motorsports Park.
Absolutely. Congrats on the solid run, and we'll see you next time, Garrett.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that'll wrap up the show here today, and if there's a race that had everything, Dirt, this is a race that had everything. We were about to pull our hair out with cautions, and then we just went green, and we had a classic strategy battle with amazing racing, and then we wrap it up with 3 green, white checkers.
Yeah, I mean, that green flag run was really impressive. Again, very difficult conditions for these drivers tonight. That track temp was no joke. And I think in the hands of lesser drivers, this race could have been a bit of a mess, but it really wasn't. It was a phenomenal show. Great battling, 2-3 wide. Clean racing for the lead at the end there. I mean, respectful racing. I thought this was a phenomenal truck race. I mean, Homestead, very rarely do I ever leave this place disappointed, and we're going to keep that trend alive. This was good.
Absolutely enjoyed it. And if you enjoy it, we have one more opportunity this week with Area, the Florida State Builders Pro Series on Thursday with the Nopes cars. Still getting used to saying that. The O'Reilly Auto Parts cars, a.k.a. Xfinity, a.k.a. Nationwide, a.k.a. Busch. So we'll see what they can do there on Thursday night here in Miami. Stay tuned for tomorrow night. The Elbows Out Racing League, our road racing series on PTR TV will be back. And then our next race will be on Sunday after that. Another full week of action. Help us on our mission to 2,000 subscribers. But that is going to be Corey and Dirt signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.